Hudaco was founded in 1891, was the first listed on the JSE in 1938. It imports and distributes branded engineering consumables as well as power tools, security, automotive and radio communication products. It has a market cap of 3.6 billion rand and a price to earnings ratio of 10. This is the one you want to talk about, so let's start with you, Tshepo.
Look, Hudaco, again, top quality business as well. Throughout its 15 years has always given you profit.
You've got to give these companies longevity. They certainly have been around for a long time.
They have, and the differentiator for these companies relative to some others is that they acquire very well. I think typically we don't like companies that acquire their growth. We like organic growth, but these guys do it and they pay reasonable prices. So last year they made 2 acquisitions. One of which global communications gives them exposure to Africa. So this is one that I think increasingly will be an African growth story behind it. So I think Hudaco's got the quality, good valuations, and has a nice little caveat in that they're expanding into Africa now.
Can you get excited about that expansion into Africa, Paul?
Yeah, it's interesting because I was watching some of the clips of the CEO, Stephen Donnelly, talking to CNBC presenters in the past. All that video clip footage is available on ABN 360. I think it's a fabulous archive, and those clips are very seldom viewed by people who are interested in the stock. I can see because the YouTube clip thing says like 30 or 50 or 70, but it's begun to represent quite a nice archive. So there's a heads up, because my own view is you can do almost nothing better than watching a 5-minute interview with the CEO to get a real sense of a company, because he's putting his best foot forward, but you're also getting a sense for the person and for what they emphasize and so on. Anyway, backstory. I quite like the guy.
Andrew, head of ABN Digital, is not paying you, just to clarify in terms of disclosure there.
I think this is a fabulous company. I mean, you said it yourself there in your introduction, 1891. It's called Hudaco because the guy who started the business was called Hubert Davies. And he arrived on the reef in 1888 when the gold mines were found, and he wandered around and he set up a supply business for the mines. And he then, built his first premises on Simmons Street. And, nearly more than 100 years later, it's worth 3.6 billion rand. So I don't know whether that's like doing well or not, but this is where we are. And it's a
we
solid
can't hold you
operation.
back. It sounds very exciting from your perspective. I'm hoping that you're going to go with hot later in this discussion.
Well, I think the assets there are what they say they are. They're in the sort of mining manufacturing stuff, similar to Invicta. They've got the similar and related kind of agencies. Then they've got another division which is sort of more like power tools and industrial equipment of that nature. So again, not exactly riveting stuff.
I was going to say hugely exciting industry to be in, but it's feeder into also the mining industry and the manufacturing sector.
Which is important. I think if you are like ourselves and you think commodity prices over the course of the next 5 to 10 years are going to have sustained demand from emerging markets, you think commodity players are going to be doing well, and in that environment they're going to be passing on spend to companies like Hudaco and Invicta. So whilst the actual mechanics of what they do is not exciting, I think the prospects are exciting, given that they're very geared to that sector. So yeah, this is one we're very bullish on.
Again, just coming back to that story of the rand. Right now, the rand is tracking weaker and weaker on an ongoing basis.
Right, so they must be thrilled over there at Hudaco.
Well, just keep it around these levels.
But while I was busy rambling there earlier, I forgot the question that you'd asked.
I'm glad you said rambling.
And that was, what about the African thing? And the CEO did say that in his most recent interview, and that is that, it's not like selling washing machines or microwaves at Macro, because there you can go to China yourself and get the stuff shipped in, and you don't need an intermediary. When it comes to, like big fat bearings that go onto the side of a crusher or on a plant in the DRC, you can't, send your own person to China to get that. So you've got to work through somebody like these companies, because they keep a certain amount of stock and they know what's what and they know where to source everything.
And they work with the best brands.
And it's good margins, of course, for the supplier, because they can tack on whatever they need to in order to provide that specialist services. But again, like we said earlier, not a secret, this one also hit 40 Rand a share. Now it's trading at 110, all-time high, so it's questionable for me. Not expensive, but somewhat dull and appropriately priced for its current level of
I want
earnings.
to know how a value manager feels about a stock trading at its all-time high, because I have a fear that you are going to surprise me in terms of your philosophy here.
No. There's nothing wrong with trading at your all-time high if the fundamentals are backing it. Again, if you're looking at this from a valuation perspective on a PE of 10, a nice dividend yield of 4, that coupled with a good return on equity of 23, I think this is a business that has fundamentals that are backing it. Margins are expanding beyond the rand, so even in an environment where the rand was actually strengthening, they managed to increase margins. So fundamentals are backing that share price movement.
Paul ignored me earlier when I said they buy only good brands. That is correct. I mean, that's well known about Hudaco, isn't it?
Yeah. So part of their operation is being able to supply quality and good brands.
So recognizable brands, perhaps that is a better term.
There you go, as opposed to good brands. So yeah, that's what they supply. They work with the suppliers in terms of tailoring some of the goods to meet customers' demand. So all in all, this is top quality business.
Hot or not on Hudaco?
Well, my earlier comments, I think the sector is fine, and I like the fact that they are, involved with the import game, and they're not, susceptible to foreign competition like the guys we were talking about the other night that bring in, basins and taps, because at the end of the day, you can get that sort of stuff anywhere. So we like the niche, but for me, like I said earlier, we're mostly looking for big, exciting, transformative businesses which are going to blow up with earnings excitement and capture more of the economy.
Use terminology like blow up when you're trying to invoke a positive reaction towards something.
So I'm going to say not hot, but of the two we've discussed tonight, I think Invicta I feel a bit more closer to.
Closer to. Hot or not, first of all on Hudaco, before you give me your hot stock pick.
Hudaco's burning hot for me.
Burning, so that is your hot stock pick.
That is my hot stock pick.